Welcome. My name is Elizabeth, and I will be guiding you this morning through a neck and shoulder relief practice. Let's go ahead and get ourselves set up on our mat. So we like to be seated. If you prefer, you can go ahead and sit on a blanket, bolster, or prop, something to elevate your hips so they're just a little bit higher than your knees for comfort. And we want to make sure that for our practice, we have a strap, a sash, or a belt, something so that we can work with our shoulders in practice today. As we get ourselves set up, align yourself nice and tall so your skull is stacked over your rib cage, stacked over your waist. And let's just take our hands to our knees, whether that's palms face up or palms face down. Choose for you what feels best. Allow yourself to lean back a little bit in space. Feel your weight shift into the back of your sitting bones, so it almost feels as though you're leaning against a wall. And let's take a deep inhale to begin. Shoulders can shrug up by our ears. Big breath in through our nose. And just drop and release out through your mouth. One more time. Big breath in and up. And exhale to release. Good. Keeping eyes closed or gaze just gently soft down the tip of your nose. Let's give ourselves a few moments to connect. Grounding down through our seat. Feeling our sitting bones connected to our mat or our prop. And just slowly draw your awareness up your spine. Once you reach that space around your belly and your waist, ask yourself if your breath is reaching there. If it feels as though your breath is high, see if you can draw your breath deeper down into your belly, towards your pelvis. Starting to find a softness in the belly. As you observe your breath higher up, ask if your rib cage is expanding and contracting with each breath. And as you feel that expansion in your back and along the sides of your waist, what kind of clarity does that bring to your morning? Observe your shoulders resting, finding ease away from your ears. And see if you can tune into any pain points that might arise along the neck, shoulders, or high back. Perhaps you can feel one side a little tighter than the other, or just a specific spot that's calling your attention. We're just sending our awareness to this space. And then asking to send positive energy as we exhale into those spots to soften gently. Take that last bit of energy rising through your spine. Feel it moving through the back of the head all the way to the crown of the head, upwards in space. And let's draw one hand to our belly and the other hand to our heart to begin our practice. Give yourself a moment of gratitude for showing up this morning. Taking the time to come to your mat. And always taking the time to be with your breath and connect with your body. Let's find a big inhale breath here together. And exhale to release. Here we can gently open the eyes, take the hands back to the knees, keeping yourself nice and long in your spine. Let's go ahead and pull into our knees so that our chest puffs forward, our collarbone expands, our throat lifts, and we sort of feel this deep stretch here across the front line of the body. And then on your next exhale, as it happens, going the other way, draw your chin in towards your chest, scoop through your shoulders, and actually lean back so you're pulling on your knees, almost locking out your arms, pressing into that space between shoulder blades. We'll connect with this in our breath. So it's very similar to cat and cow. Inhales, expansive and lifted. And exhales, contracted and pushing backwards. So a few more times, exploring that for yourself. Just moving at whatever pace feels right for you. And perhaps the first few times that you moved in it, there wasn't much room. But now as we progress, we feel like we can find just a touch more space. See if there's a millimeter more in each direction. Okay, let's take just one more. And at the end of your cycle, you'll arrive back into neutral spine. And then just give yourself a moment there to be upright. Okay, turning your palms face up on your knees as a sign of receptivity to this more open framework in our bodies. And again, maybe close your eyes or soften your gaze and just feel that one exercise, if it drew any more awareness, attention, or spaciousness to your back. If you feel any more clarity or any more vibrancy in your body, just draw your awareness to that. How little it takes. We'll continue with this energy. Take another inhale here. Big breath in through your nose to reset. And out through your mouth. Good. Set our arms down by our sides like you're tenting your fingertips. And let's go ahead and go over towards the right side. So left arm is lifting. And we reach all the way up and over to our right. Big side body stretch. And make sure as you're doing this, you're keeping your left sitting bone grounded. So you're even pressing into your right hand slightly and letting your left sitting bone and left fingertips reach away from one another. Give it one more breath here. And connect with your inhale to carry yourself back up through the center, and we'll gently switch left hand down, right reaches up and over. And nice big rainbow arch. Okay, press into your left hand, push into your right sitting bone, reach through right fingertips. And again, connect with the inhale to draw yourself back up through the center and exhale once more over towards the right side. Now this time while we're here, we'll find a little bit more space in the mid-back. So turn in towards the corner and reach on the diagonal. So it's like you're taking, again, that similar cat contraction. And then as you open back up, let's kind of hyperextend towards the ceiling, sending your arm up and back towards top back corner. 2 more times like that. Scooping in, feeling that space underneath the rib cage. And then open, finding that spaciousness under the armpit and breastbone. Last one. Good. As you come back through, center to neutral. Pick yourself up again. Inhale and exhale, switching sides. Over towards the left. First find center. And then connect forward. Down towards that top corner. And passing center up and open, working on reaching back. I know that reaching back might feel a little more challenging. Just see if you can find sensation there across the chest, right from underneath the shoulder, in the front body. Last one. Good, as you return back through to center, again, ground through sitting bones, picking yourself up through midline. Let's send both arms upwards in space. Inhale, looking up. When you exhale, draw hands in towards heart center. Thumbs connect to sternum. Looking gently down at fingertips. Or again, closing your eyes. Once more, tune back in. After that second exercise, do we even feel taller in our spine? More spacious, more aware. Great. So generally, the more space that we create in our upper body, especially when we're seated, we might find that our energy is rising up and actually shifting forward. So if you feel like you've pitched forward into your sitting bones, again, try to sit back and you'll feel a little bit of release and tension out of your low back. And we often do this when we sit at our computer desk all day. We're always drawn forward and the rib cage is displaced from the hips. So if we align them, one stacked over the other, asking those muscles in the back to soften, it helps us find ease traveling up the spine towards the neck so that we create less tension in the upper body. Let's go ahead and just release hands by your sides again and take shoulders up by your ears. Inhale, big breath to reset. Exhale to release. Good. Let's switch positions from here and we'll take ourselves to tabletop. So if you are sitting down on a block or a prop, let's just shift it out of the way and get yourself set up so you're at a table. And let's take knees a little bit wider than hips so we've got some space here. Okay, hands just outside the shoulders with fingers spread. And instead of cat and cow, let's go side to side. So you're looking over each shoulder and you're kind of hugging your hip in towards your rib cage as you look. So like you're wagging your tail, you're feeling your high hip hug in towards low ribs. And once you've gone side to side a few times, come back through to center and then see if you can move with the middle of your back. So I'm going to ask that you send your rib cage to the right, up to the ceiling, over to the left, and then down towards your mat. Well, let's go a few times in that circle. Initiating on the right side. And don't worry about your head. The head can just be relaxed. Let it move as it likes to. It'll kind of just follow along gently. Okay, next time you come back through center, let's switch so we can initiate left first, up, right, and down. A few times again. Really nice. Okay, last one as we come back through to center, just return, and then press into your hands and pull your heart and gaze forward, taking your cow pose. And we'll just take cat once, push into your mat, scoop through your spine. Nice big curve through the midline. Come on back through to center. Good. And we'll take our left hand, keep it down on the mat, and send our right arm high. So big inhale breath, right arm reaches upwards in space. As you exhale, weave through and down to the left. Okay. So we want our right temple connecting down to the mat. And just observe that your hips are still stacked up over your knees here. So we've not leaned back. We're not yet in child's pose. Let's see if we can walk our left fingertips forward or slide our hand forward. So we're reaching towards the top of the mat. And then get the sensation that we're trying to close this space. So left armpit is trying to hug down as your right shoulder is trying to pull towards the right side of your mat. So there's a little bit of wanting to come out of the position. And as we do that, we might feel a nice deep stretch in the outside back right shoulder. Do your best to connect to your breath here. Focus on your exhales, drawing sitting bones back, maintaining length in your spine so there's traction in your back. And we'll just give it one more breath. First, sliding the left hand back in your face, and then going ahead and sliding out. Right arm reaches back up, unwind. And exhale, you can release, planting it down. Good, switching sides. Left arm breathes upwards. And exhale through, all the way towards the right. Good, so again, we're on left temple. Good. And then see if you're checking with your hips here. As we twist towards the right, our weight wants to shift to the right. So can you pull your left hip back, leveling your tailbone, so that there's more rotation in your rib cage. That right arm again reaches forward, and we try to close ourselves in. So right armpit is coming down towards the ground. And it feels like you're working on sliding the left shoulder back out from underneath you. Few more breaths here. We can carry ourselves back in first by drawing our right hand in near us, and then breathing left arm out. Inhale, big reach high, and exhale to release, planting back down. Perfect. Let's go ahead and tuck our toes and gently press up and back to a downward facing dog, lengthening out the backs of your legs, feeling that deep stretch in your calves. And feel free to go ahead and pedal on the spot, walking it out, moving whatever way you feel you need to get into your body. We were seated for a while, so just address the backs of the legs, feeling and observing the blood flow back into those spaces. And remember not to pinch the shoulders in your downward dog. And we do that by bending a little bit in our knees, sending our tail higher in space, and really pushing into fingertips to create spaciousness around the neck. Last breath here. We can raise our heels high, spreading through your toes, and rock forward to a plank position, long spine. Adjust if you need to, walking hands forward or feet back. And instead of a flow or a traditional push-up, let's take the knees down and then point the toes back. You'll let your hips fall forward, so you're opening up through the front line of the body, arriving in Cobra. Now, if this is too deep for you, bend your elbows and lower down to Baby Cobra. Good. And if you feel your shoulders shrugging up by your ears, remember we want to loop back, opening up the heart space. Beautiful. Last breath here. You can take a big inhale and exhale. Bend your elbows lower down to your mat. Good. Take your feet a little wider and your hands just off of your mat, fingertips down and elbows lifted. Let's find dragon rolls. Peel away from the floor as you inhale, rolling up. Your head is the last thing to arrive. And as you exhale, roll back down. Beautiful. Twice more. Inhale, breath up. Exhale to release. Nice. One more time. High. And gently lower. Good. Instead of on your fingertips, plant your hands, but have that same framework where your elbows are lifted. And then just push up about halfway. Okay, so we're not going too intensely into the belly. This is more about the shoulder. Okay, so what we're working on here is the front shoulder space. We can work with the left side first. So turn your fingertips in towards you and then bend in your left elbow and lean into it. Okay, so you're gonna feel a deep stretch in the front of the rotator cuff of your shoulder. Just a few breaths there. You can use your inhale to press out of your hands, look over to your left and pull your right shoulder down. Okay, so it's like your shoulder is in alignment with your elbow. You're trying to get a 90-degree angle or so, maybe even deeper if you've got more space. That's not a part of our shoulder we reach very often, so that might feel like it has a lot of sensation in it. Press back into your hands, come back through the center. You can spin your hands back forward. Good, and then lower back down to release. Let's take hands in and legs in and press all the way back to child's pose. So you soften in our low back. Good, just find ease here as you curve into your low spine, head heavy. And we can even let our elbows be heavy so that our shoulders soften and the back of our neck gets a chance to find full release. Let's give it 5 breaths here. Just returning to that morning softness. Deep breaths into your low back, mid back, and high back. From here, let's keep our shins down and just slide our hands back. So we're rolling up through our spine, coming to seated position at the back of our mat. Okay, now if this does not feel comfortable for you, please readjust, sit with your legs crossed or some other form. We won't be here long though, okay? So make sure shoulders are up and back. We've got, again, that spaciousness. And you're gonna go ahead and let your right ear draw to your right shoulder and send your right hand to your left ear. So there's just a little bit of a pull here along the side of the neck. Good. So to intensify this, if we feel like we need or we have space, our left arm can reach down on a diagonal towards the floor, but not connected to the floor. We want to make sure that our thumb is down, so the palm is facing back in space. If it's helpful, closing the eyes or softening the gaze, just feeling that length being drawn all the way along the side of the neck, from edge of collarbone all the way to the back of the ear. All right, so we want to continue working on this side. A very subtle shift. Let your right hand lift from your ear slightly, and then turn your gaze down towards the right hip or right armpit. That way when you connect your hand back to your head, you're actually catching kind of the edge, back left corner, the back of the neck, and giving a gentle little pull here so we feel more of a stretch down the back of the neck on the left side along the trapezius muscle. Last few breaths. Still continue reaching through left fingertips. If you feel like they fall asleep or you lose your awareness, give them a little wiggle. Good, and then gently just let hands come back towards the tops of your thighs and take a half circle forward and to the left, and then again forward and to the right. And we can come through center and up through center. Inhale high, loop shoulders back again. Now let's start on the second side, left ear to left shoulder, left hand towards the head on the right side, and your right arm out with your palm facing back, so your thumb is down. And just finding that gentle side stretch. Again, from pinky finger or from collarbone all the way to the back of the ear. I'll give it one last breath here. Again, left hand lift slightly so we can turn our head down towards left hip or left armpit. And then again, draw your head and your hand to connect with a little bit of resistance. Feeling that pull down the back of the neck. See if you can maintain activity in your right arm so it's still reaching outwards away from you. Last gentle breath here. We can soften, sending our hands again towards our thighs and take those half circles down and towards the right and down and to the left. Just come through center and lift your head through center. Shoulders up and back. Good. Maybe one or two times. Okay, depending on the way you're sitting, we may have space for this. We want to take our hands behind us to interlace. See if you can draw the base of your palms to connect and squeeze your shoulder blades together behind you, gently gazing up. You can feel that spaciousness in the collarbone, throat lifts. I want to maintain this hug. And if it feels right for you, let's allow ourselves to fold forward. Chest folds over thighs or over crossed legs. And we want to lift our knuckles upwards in space. Finding that squeeze as though we're pinching something between our shoulder blades. Last two breaths here. And as we sit up from here, let your arms sweep under, forward, and up. Inhale to reach high. And exhale to draw back in the heart center. Good. Let's shift back to a tabletop. Again, let blood draw back into the backs of knees, tuck toes. And let's stretch it out back into downward facing. So press up and back as you're ready. And feel free to walk it out on the spot once more. And then once you create that space in your legs, work to settle in your downward facing and see if you feel any different in downward dog. Maybe your neck feels a little more relaxed as you can shake your head yes and no easily. Or maybe it just feels like your breath in your rib cage is broader, more spacious underneath the ribs. Let's give it one last moment, pressing into the backs of the heels. And we'll take inhale to rise up out of our heels again, toes spread wide. And now slowly take your knees down to the ground, super slow so that you feel that stretch underneath your toes. Since we're not doing much lower body today, there's a nice bit of opening for the feet. Good, and once you arrive, you can gently relax the toes. And let's just go ahead and take a seat. And we're gonna work with our strap. So sit cross-legged again, set yourself up on that prop if you prefer. And make sure that you've got your strap there in your hand. And we want it about 2 feet, 2.5 feet apart. And so if we had it upright, we would be creating like a Y shape or a V. Good. So you're finding a nice taut pull on that strap. And we start with it down forward in front of us. Good. Remember before we even move that we want to keep our body stacked. So watch that you're not pitched forward. Lean back and feel your low back relax. Okay. Arms breathe high on an inhale, up overhead. And then just go behind you, whatever amount is available. So you're trying to pull out of your periphery. Now, if you went back and your arms did this, okay, that's what we don't want. So we want to keep our arms long. And as we draw back, we want to feel that length right underneath the chest space in the front of the shoulder. So if you need to, you can draw your hands a little closer together on that strap. You take an inhale to pull back up overhead and exhale, soften forward in front of you. Okay, so with your breath, inhales up. Exhale out of your periphery. Watch that your rib cage is not puffing forward. Inhale back up overhead and exhale, soften. So you're just going to continue playing with that in your own time. Again, what you're watching for is that the shoulder is moving on its own. And we're not asking the ribs or the back to do any of the movement to create space for the shoulder. I know for many of us, this is very tight. This is a challenging bit of work here with the strap. And you're working to find that space where you hit resistance. You need to try to check in with any subtleties. When your arms are up overhead and you hit that space of resistance, are you clenching your jaw? Are you creating any sort of facial expressions that could be eased? Let's just go twice more. Good. And that last one, I want you to connect to your edge, so that point of resistance, and then stay. Close your eyes or soften your gaze. Just feel that pull. So rather than thinking about drawing your arms behind you, focus on the pull of your arms apart from one another. Sending your breath into that center space of your chest. Let's give it one more breath here. You'll use your inhale to just draw the strap over your skull, so right to the ceiling, and then gently lean to your right. Good. As you go to your right, watch that that left arm doesn't collapse. So we want to keep the arms equidistant to ears. Remember that pull of your left sitting bone down as we did at the beginning. We'll come up once more. Inhale and exhale, switch left. Maintain that grounded frame on your right sitting bone. Giving it one more breath. And coming on back through the center. Inhale. And then gently releasing that strap down forward in front of you. Just feeling all blood rush back into your arms and back into your fingertips. Let's give our fingers a little wiggle, especially if we're gripping that strap. Quite difficult. All right, and then we're going to interlace the hands together, flip through your palms, and push forward in space. So you're getting a stretch through those first base knuckles. Beautiful. So here the hands are kind of across from the sternum, right across from the chest. I want you to draw it in, bending in your elbows on an inhale, and then that same push, but with a contraction. Exhale, drop your head, scoop back. Remember that leaning back over the sitting bones and press through shoulder blades behind you. Beautiful. Right, from here, send your arms right up above you. Inhale, nice long spine. We're going to keep the interlace. Just draw your hands behind your head so your elbows are still bent. We're clasping the base of the neck or nape of the neck. Elbows pull in, and then we can let elbows draw down. Maintain that upright frame in your spine and just hinge at the neck. So there's a gentle little pull at the back of the head. Few breaths here. Try to breathe into your upper ribs. Feeling that broad breath. Feel like you're sending energy all the way from your sitting bone up towards that last cervical vertebrae that's pointing upwards towards the sky as the rest of your neck hangs heavy. Good. So from here, we're going to maintain this position, and I want you to keep your dominant hand on the back of your head. So your non-dominant hand is going to come down. So my left is non-dominant. Okay, and then the right hand that you have here at the back of the head, we're just going to give ourselves a little massage. So you're using your thumb, index finger, and middle finger. So you're creating kind of an L shape here, and you're giving yourself a little squeeze. So we just want to squeeze those muscles. It's like we're pulling in and up. And you're doing this right at the base of the hairline. Few times. Squeeze and lift. So just a gentle little soft massage, pulling the muscles away from the neck, away from the spine. And as you do it a few times, just make sure you're working your way up closer to the back of the head and then down closer towards the neck where the shoulders are. And if there's a spot that's quite tight for you, you can just hold and maintain pressure. Let's give this a few more seconds. And then as we gently release, we can release that hand down, back onto our opposite knee. And let your skull slowly stack. So feel like you're going one vertebrae at a time, everything coming upright. Good. And then lean into that space, opening up again into the chest, going back, collarbone broad, chin lifts, nice and tall. Big inhale breath here, pull yourself back through the center. Good. Exhale to soften. Let's take palms face up again on our knees and let our shoulders shrug up by our ears. Big inhale high and exhale to soften. Close your eyes or soften your gaze past the tip of your nose. And we'll take this one last time to just check in, tune in, observe any differences. Maybe reflecting on the tension or pain points you may have had at the beginning of practice. If they feel like there's a little bit more breath or a little more life, or perhaps you don't even feel them anymore. Tuning back into your breath, feeling that spaciousness into your belly. Perhaps we just feel a subtle, soft, vibrating energy. Staying gentle with yourself and feel free to maintain closed eyes if you prefer. I'm going to take a little twist with our right hand behind us. Left hand towards outside of right knee, sitting upright. Inhale, taking a long spine, big breath. And exhale, rotating, sending your gaze, or just turning your head over towards right shoulder. With each inhale, see if you can sit up a little taller. Perhaps exhales, find more space as you rotate. And then gently as you're ready, you can soften and return past center, setting yourself up on the second side, left hand behind. Remember to breathe tall as you inhale. And exhale, gently turn. Watch that you're not collapsing in your spine, but we're always growing tall. From sitting bones to crown of head. Taking one more breath here. Again, pull back through the center as you're ready. And once you return to center, again, shoulders up by ears. And exhale, soften. Good. Whichever leg you have crossed in front, just maintain it there for now. Hinge forward and send your hands forward ahead of you. So you're just leaning forward, bending here in your elbows if you can reach the ground. Just make sure that your sitting bones maintain connection so that your hips and your seat are not flying off of your mat. You're just finding a stretch there in that front outer hip. Very similar but more gentle stretch comparative to pigeon. We can do our best here to let our back relax, our neck and our head relax. We're coming close to the end of our practice, so we're working to soften everything in our bodies now. And we'll give it one more breath. And we'll just begin to walk in, sliding your hands in, sitting back up, finding that nice tall seat. Then lean back enough that you can switch legs opposite shin in front. Again, find length in your spine to sit tall, and then hinge forward, walking the hands as far as you feel comfortable, asking yourself to rest. Just tuning into that sensation of a stretch in the opposite hip. Letting your breath be soft. Seeing if you can ask your jaw to relax. Soften the bite surfaces of your teeth apart from one another. Give it one more breath, and then once again, slowly make our way back up, pressing into our hands, sitting tall. Beautiful. So feel that length and spaciousness in our seat. And we're just going to turn, but you can maintain that same space on your mat to lay back, just so that we've got space here. Okay, so take long legs along the front of your mat. With your feet flexed, we'll find an inhale breath with arms up overhead. And exhale, gently fold forward, catching hold wherever you feel you can. And if that is far for you, you do still have your strap, so you can always hook the strap around your feet, giving yourself a gentle pull forward. Let's make sure that we're not worried about blocking out the backs of the legs. It is actually more preferable to keep a little bend in your knees. Feeling that pitch forward and maintaining that flexion in your ankles so toes stay facing upright. As you gently keep your shoulders drawn back and your heart reaching forward. The last few breaths here. And if we have that strap, we're just going to gently relax it there in front of us and let our arms come by your sides to sit upright. Arms up overhead, taking an inhale breath. We're going to curve and go backwards in space, so roll through your spine, one vertebrae at a time, rolling back. And then once you get there, send your arms up overhead, taking a big stretch. Inhale. Good, and then exhale, hug your knees in towards your chest and give yourself a little rock from side to side, softening the low spine. And after a few rocks, returning to center, plant your feet down and let's take them wider. So let's say outsides of shoulders. They're still quite close to us and we're gonna let our knees collapse in towards one another. So they're creating a little tent or an A-frame. And if you feel any tension here in your sacrum, just push into your feet, lift your hips like paper height off the floor, and then retuck your tailbone under and then lower back down. So now I feel a little bit more ease in that flat triangular bone at the end of our spine. Arms are going to reach above us to the ceiling. And I want you to just give yourself a little bit of a pull, like you're climbing, you're reaching for something, so your shoulders are coming out from underneath you. And then once you feel like they're fully out, let's give ourselves a hug. So crossing your arms, just letting your hands rest by your sides, or maybe even hugging under your shoulder blades. Feeling the squeeze. So we have elbows in towards one another, knees in towards one another, and we can give ourselves a gentle hug here as we close our eyes or soften our gaze. Okay, this position is called CRP, constructive rest pose. It is a constructive rest because we're giving ourselves a hug. Everything has internal rotation and allows us to feel safe. So this is a really good position if you feel like maybe your anxiety is high at some point, or if you feel like you're overwhelmed, or if you wake up in the morning and you're feeling like maybe your dreams were exhausted or you didn't get quite a good night's rest. We're going to take the same position and just readjust the arms, uncrossing and recrossing. So reach back up overhead and then again give yourself a hug with that second arm on top. Feel free again to close your eyes or soften your gaze. Just tuning into how this feels, giving yourself a hug, reminding your body that you're safe, that you're loved. We're just tuning into this self-sufficiency that we have. You might also recognize that in this position, the muscles that are nearest towards the edge of the spinal column are being pulled gently away from the spinal column. So you're making more space for your nerve endings so that any sensation that's traveling from your tail towards the crown of your head can travel freely. It's like we're opening up that space so that there is that nice fluid channel of energy. And we'll just give a few more moments to this posture. And then gently, as we open up, sending your arms
overhead in a diamond shape or a cactus position, whichever feels best for your shoulder. Just try to make sure that the back of your arm, back of your wrist, and fingers here are relaxed into the ground. If you know that your legs feel best in this position for your low back, you can maintain this. If you prefer to go the other way, we can walk the feet together and take the knees apart. So we end up in a butterfly position. Taking a breath or two here. Just feeling any release that you can make out of the internal line of your inner thighs, your pelvis, and across the chest from elbow to elbow. Maybe you can observe here how your breath is moving freely, watching your belly rise and fall with a little more ease than when we started. We'll just give ourselves one last moment here. And then fold one side of our body into the other so we can allow ourselves to roll over to a fetal position. Choosing whatever side works for you, gently roll over into fetal and allow yourself to curl into a little ball. Letting your knees come in high towards elbows. Feeling that curve in your back, again, that safety of this position. And then with whatever free hand you have, we can press ourselves back up gently and come into a final seat. Let's return to that leaning back. One hand to our belly and the other hand to our heart space. Tune in again to any vibration or sensation that is still residing within you. Ask yourself how you can carry this energy into the rest of your day. And if at any point we lose connection with this energy, how can we check back in? Give yourself again gratitude for showing up to your mat, being present in your body, in your breath, and being kind to your brain. Let's take hands to heart center and find one last breath here together. Deep inhale and exhale the release. Thank you so much for practice.